see Pelosi in months.
Pelosi will be back next week.
Scare somebody away.
Dennis is not coming? Alan? He's never usually that late.
He's still celebrating his birthday. Last meeting, they were like,
I've been doing that for
Oh my God, I feel the heat.
I'm not gonna make this a part of the record. We just don't make these things a part of the record. Okay. It's almost like a petition. So cameras on? Cameras on. I'll make reference to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. You can all stand for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you all for coming. Mr. Magno?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Roll call of officers.
Mr. Hukevich? Mr. Davis?
Present.
Ms. Lee? Here. Councilman Limbo?
Here.
Mr. McEnone?
Present?
Ms. O'Leary?
Here?
Chairman Ty?
Here.
Mr. Rogoff?
Here.
Mr. Cornell?
Here.
Mr. Leocavello?
Here.
Thank you. All absentees will be noted. Memorialization of resolutions? None. Acceptance of the minutes? I need a motion to accept the minutes from last month's meeting, the 29th.
I'll make that motion.
No, it's February 7th.
Oh, February 7th, rather. Okay. For the February 7th meeting, I need a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. Communication agenda?
None.
None. Hearings? None. We have an informal presentation that I've been waiting for a number of decades from the North American Properties on Riverton. You guys are ready?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, before we do that, I neglected to just make it clear on the record. Again, I thought I did it last time, but apparently I didn't. With respect to Mr. McEnone's Class 4 term.
Okay.
Mr. McEnone's term is for the unexpired term of Mr. Kelly, which will be effective through 12/31/2018. He's taking over the unexpired term of Mr. Kelly. Just want to make that clear.
Now that we have that in the record, we can take care of that we don't have to do that under new business. Okay, everybody clear with that? Mr. Maganone is here with us until 12/31/18, and then we will get him reassigned, whether he likes it or not.
Is it too long?
Mag him for another 4 years.
All right, North American Properties, who we got up?
60 mile, that's 60 mile.
I thought maybe he might show up.
Mr. Chairman, Kevin Paulson.
Hi, Kevin.
Hurry up, the wood's gonna blow.
I'm gonna go to Kansas.
For myself, I don't need a microphone, maybe for recording purposes, but I'm comfortable. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Kevin Paulson, with project executive with North American Properties.
We're ready, go ahead.
Okay.
You have new ones?
Yeah, right here.
Thank you for inviting me to address the board tonight. This isn't just an informational presentation. We've had some requests to make sure that planning board was up to speed on the activities that have happened over the recent months. I'm with North American Properties from our Atlanta office. test. Is that?
You're good.
Okay, thank you. We've had a few questions about the structure of this, the redeveloper entity and how this redevelopment is being pursued. And just to help clarify, Sayreville Seaport Associates Urban Renewal LP is the redeveloper entity and has been the redeveloper entity for some time. We have been involved since 2017, along with PGIM, an affiliate of Prudential, who has been the investor partner in this deal for approximately 10 years. And they asked us in 2017 to get involved and to assist them in this project. The prior development partner, O'Neill Properties Group, is no longer involved in the project. That's the O'Neill entity is who you've been familiar with over the years, helping to pursue this project. North American Properties, we are a private development company. We are headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio. We've been in business since 1954. Our Atlanta office was founded in 1996. Our mixed-use development team is based in Atlanta. Over the years, our company has developed $5 billion of development, managed and acquired $5 billion worth of property in the retail, multifamily, mixed-use, and office sectors. We've developed 19 million square feet of retail, 17,000 plus residential units, and 4 million square feet of mixed use. And currently we have over $1 billion of development in the pipeline in 6 states. Our activities have primarily been centered in Sunbelt markets. This is our first entry as North American Properties into the New Jersey market. Why are we here? We recently sold a project to Prudential. 2017, they acquired a project from us, our most recently completed project in the Atlanta market, what we consider our flagship project, called Avalon. Those of you who were at the open house in March saw a presentation on Avalon. We've spoken about it also in front of Sarah. It's a project that represents some of our approach to development, which is we consider somewhat unique within the industry. This is a project, and this is a view of this site in 2011, 86-acre site. This project had been started and abandoned by a previous developer. It's an unsuccessful project. We acquired it out of foreclosure in 2011. And over the period of the next 6 years, we transformed that 86-acre site into what you see here, a mix of residential, office, retail, and hotel conference center in one envelope. At full build-out, the project is being completed right now. We have one more office building to add, but other than that, the project was completed in January, subject to one more office. The component parts, approximately 500,000 square feet of retail, 650,000 square feet of office. Included in that retail is a mix of strong local and regional restaurants and a theater, so entertainment's a big part of this. 330 room hotel, conference center, and 627 residential units. In total, this is about 2.1 million square feet of development with a value of about $1 billion, 86 acres. The integration of uses is an important part of what we do, integrating the office, the residential, and the retail, along with entertainment and hospitality, hotel, restaurant. The other important part of our approach that we feel distinguishes us from many developers is that we focus on the third place, on the experience of the place, as opposed to simply shopping or dining or working, but integrating those concepts and creating a place where it's neither your work nor your home, but it's where you go to simply be and to experience and to commune. When we talk about community, we're communing with each other. We're creating places where people can come together as a community. So that may be an intimate third place where a family can enjoy each other. It may be a gathering spot for cultural performance, for recreation, athletic recreation, skating, or just, once again, being together as family and friends. Our village green, we convert, even in the South, we convert our village green for ice skating in the winter, and it's a very popular amenity. But every project is different, but these principles we will weave through every project that we work on, and Riverton is no exception. Prudential, bear with me just a moment. Prudential actually acquired Avalon in 2017. They recognized in that asset, it represented a lot of what they thought could be the potential of this site in Sayreville, and that's the reason that they brought us in as part of the team to try to help deliver that vision. So when we got involved in this project in earnest, in third quarter of last year, we put together a team to study this site, to understand what is this location all about, what is this community all about. Leading that team was Cooper Robertson out of New York, Master Planners. Cooper Robertson, among other dozens of world-class projects around the world, they were the planners for Battery Park City, which we felt was a good example of converting former industrial area, reclaimed land, dredged land, and integrating the land and the water, integrating the waterfront in an environment that also has a mix of uses. There are businesses, there are residents, and there's a public realm, there's open space, that third place where people come together. We have Wakefield Beasley and Associates who've worked with us as master architects on several of our projects, including Avalon. Dwell Design Studios works with us on our residential projects. Site Solutions, very qualified, highly skilled landscape architects out of Atlanta. They help create the magic at the street level. Mazer Consulting, our consulting planners and engineers here. The office in Red Bank is primarily who we work with, but they've been on this team for quite a while, and they're a very critical part of the team. And we have a marina consultant out of Charleston, nationally renowned, who has helped us understand that piece of this puzzle. We took this team to study examples locally and at a national level of, wow, that was not me, I promise. The battery just came back. So we went to DC, which has several examples of waterfront integration, and we learned some good things, we learned some bad things, some things we'd like to pursue, and some things we would probably avoid in trying to activate the waterfront. When we first saw this site on the Raritan River, we said the opportunity to take 2.5, 3 miles of frontage along the Raritan River and open it for the first time in decades to the public was just a real exciting opportunity for us. And the redevelopment plan that calls for this waterfront promenade, we think is a wonderful opportunity for us to create public access to the waterfront. So we looked at District Wharf in downtown and National Harbor along the eastern waterfront. We also went to Jersey towns like Red Bank and Montclair and Spring Lake to try to understand, number one is how do Jersey communities embrace the water, but also what makes a Jersey town a Jersey town? How long is a typical shopping street? What makes Montclair or Summit or Red Bank feel, hey, this is a natural shopping distance? After about 2,000 feet, we learned, things tend to fall off. So we studied just to try to figure out how do we apply those principles to the site here in Sayreville. This concept plan was the outcome of those exercises that started in October and went through December. This is the concept plan that was approved as a preliminary concept plan by SARA, by the Redevelopment Agency, in February, and is really just a directional plan. We have a lot of meat to put on the bones of this plan, but it gives us a framework from which to work, and it tells us what will be the content. What do we see as the content of the program? I'll tell you right now that buildings will move around, buildings will change shape, roads will change. In fact, we probably are on. We're probably 12 versions beyond this as far as grinding the detail of individual component parts of this plan. But if I may, let me see if I can, yeah, there's my little indicator. So we talked about Avalon, and one of the components here is this mixed-use village that has some of the same attributes. That's the retail core of this project. Along the highway, you have more box retail and highway services. Given the scale of this project, we know that the market will change,
And the market will dictate to us over time. This is not something that's going to be completed in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Over time, this plan is designed to give us the flexibility to block by block react to the market and put together a whole that at the end of the day, an entire project that at the end of the day has grown with the market and reflected what the market has informed us it wants to be. So the component parts, 1.5 million square feet of retail, approximately 2 million square feet of office and commercial space, 800,000 square feet of hotel and conference center, 400 slip marina and facilities. Now we think that's a maximum number. That's not an initial build out, but we think there could be demand for up to 400 slips. 2,000 residential units consisting in this initial plan of 500 units of single family homes and 1,500 units of multifamily or apartments. And the red may be a little bit hard to see, but in breaking it down, this power center, the box retail, excuse me, along the front, 105 acres, and that's about 850,000 square feet of retail, along with a limited service hotel. The mixed-use village, 45 acres with 500,000 square feet of retail, 350 of office, 300-room full-service hotel, along with conference center and the marina activating the waterfront. Village single family. So this is townhome retail that flanks the village here, and so it's actually integrated into the environment of that office, retail, hotel core, taking advantage also of the waterfront. Just to the north, more retail, single family, multifamily, and office. The northern portion of this site, and this is where we start to get into more future planning of specific blocks, but the larger block we would see 300 units of single family, 900 units of apartments, 50,000 square feet of retail, more neighborhood retail, and 400,000 square feet of office and commercial space. That's about a 90-acre piece of land there. And then the final piece, this is what's referred to in the development documents as Parcel B, to the east of 9 in the Parkway, and that's just shown representatively at 1 million square feet of office and hotel. That will be the last part of the site to be developed. Generally, the site will be developed from southwest to northeast. That's a function of the conditions of the site. As you all know, this site has significant environmental contamination remediation requirements. That remediation has been going on for quite a number of years. Good progress has been made, but there's still a lot of work to be done to finish that remediation and to get final closeout. And also, as the further you go north along this site, the more that the dredge material impacts the geotechnical conditions of the site. So we have a concept called surcharge, where we bring in dredge material and compact the land, and that will take more time. So it will just take us more time to work to the north to develop the northern edge. We designed this plan when we sat down with Cooper Robertson and Wakefield Beasley and all of our consultants. We said we want to formulate a plan that will allow us to get something in the ground quickly. How can we best get some quick wins on the board, knowing that the community and that the local municipality, our partner, everyone's anxious to get something going here. This has been a long slog, and I know that people want to see something happen. So the first order of business is that we honored this location of Bass Pro because the remediation and the geotechnical requirements have been met there. So that can be something that we can get out of the ground pretty quickly. And then we built the next phase starting here, which is upland area that is not as impacted by geotechnical requirements. So it's a plan that allows us to build quickly and be flexible over time. So to recap, in broader terms, the content, 4.25 million square feet of commercial space, including the retail and entertainment, marina and related facilities, and 2,000 residential units. The area that I pointed out, the Avalon type area, the mixed use core, I want to talk a little bit more about that and how we approach that. The core design principles that we apply, that we feel are very important to recognize and honor as we put this together from a design standpoint and as we curate and mix the uses. We want to see a pedestrian-friendly urban scale. We want to see the integration of uses so that the hotel, office, retail, and residential connect to each other, that they're not segregated and gated off from each other, but that they bring energy to each other. Public gathering spaces, small spaces, intimate spaces, large spaces for public events. And here, an activated waterfront, both with the promenade and with the marina. To show you how we applied those principles in Avalon. This is showing just the integration of uses here on the, on the right side, that's a hotel. This is multifamily, this apartments over the retail. Restaurants in the middle of the avenue. This is actually a boulevard where there's traffic going this way and traffic going this way, and we have seating in the middle of that boulevard. A lot of outdoor dining opportunities. This is also multifamily over retail in the center square. This is an office building, 8-story office building here. The project is designed, as Riverton will be designed, to enable us to close off portions of the project for events so that we have a pedestrian street experience. This is one of those medium-sized gathering spots. This is a very popular fireplace. This isn't actually a patio of a restaurant. This is just a public space within the project. So this is, as you see, the families are gathering around, toasting marshmallows and just, once again, communing, finding a place where they can commune and be with each other. We have community events. We're very focused on the experience of our community and programming these spaces. We have over 200 events a year at Avalon. That's everything from yoga in the park, 5K, 10K races, St. Patrick's Day party, 4th of July fireworks, tree lighting ceremony in November with a band and Santa on a sleigh and the whole 9 yards. We have spaces where where we can hold performances. This is an intimate amphitheater. This actually is a comedy night, a Friday night comedy night, and you can see the residents, both from on-site and from the surrounding community. These are not just residents who live in these, not just residents who live in these apartment buildings here, but these are residents from the surrounding community who've come to Avalon for this event on Friday night. The Village Green, when we look at that plan, that very large plan, it's 322 developable acres. It's hard to really understand what those individual component parts are. So we blew up a section of the plan to show you. This is an area and you can see here the marina, so the river's on this side. But this is a village green, a community green. In front of it, this is a theater, and with retail on both sides. And that looks like a little postage stamp in this scale. But to help bring it to life, this is the vision of what that space is. This is a multi-seasonal, multi-purpose public space. In the summertime, you can see that we have, there's a turf surface. This is actually a permanent bandstand that has audio technology built in, and obviously the fountain here. So this creates a very natural space for a concert or any kind of public performance. That space can be converted in the winter for ice skating, and you can see our holiday lighting program, the ice skating. This is actually a concierge station. The concierge is there to serve not only the residents and the office employees, but the retail visitors as well. This is a valet stand in front of the concierge, The customer can walk up to the concierge and ask the concierge to find a reservation for a restaurant that evening. This is a kind of a weekly recreational activity. Yoga on the green, Saturday morning yoga on the green. And this is probably our largest event of the year. This is our holiday tree lighting from last November. You might see Santa right down in here on top of that roof, but the fireworks, and you can see that there are people, the residents are having parties here overlooking the green and the concert. This was a concert area here. There were about 18,000 people at this event in November. What we don't have at Avalon is waterfront, and obviously waterfront is an irreplaceable asset. We're very excited about the opportunity to activate that waterfront and connect to the river. Some of these photos, and I'll make a disclosure, these are representative photos. When we build something, it's not going to look exactly like that, and I don't want anyone to think that we're kind of baiting and switching on what we're delivering. We're really just finding inspiration as we go through the process of exploring various designs. For example, this shows the stores being pretty much at grade with the river. Obviously, we have FEMA floodplain considerations. The buildings will be 15 feet above the water level. We'll have grade changes to get you there. There'll be step downs. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that it's going to look exactly like this. This is just a representative image. And another image of a potential marina configuration. I know that's a lot of stuff and a lot of images and a lot of concepts. For those of you who were at the open house in March, you saw a video, rendered, basically a dynamic rendering of the project that gives an idea of how the massing will come together. In other words, how big will these buildings be? How will they fit on the site? How will they relate to the roads? And so if I may, this is about a 2-minute video, and I'll show you this video just to give you an idea of direction. Now, this video was based on a site plan that was prepared in November, and so we're on site plan 16 now, and I think that was based on site plan 2 or 3. So how the things fit together, various places on the plan has already changed, but I hope it will give you a feel for how the massing and building relationship and connection to the water and to the roads will work. Thank you for bearing with us for those 2.5 minutes. Once again, more about the mass, the relationship, the size of the buildings. You notice office buildings rendered at 6, 7 stories, the multifamily 4 levels over retail, the retail street with restaurants in the middle, what we call jewel box retail, jewel box restaurants. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel for how the project may end up looking at full build out, which is a few years down the road. So we've told the story about what we've been doing for the last several months. What are we doing now? I'm sure is a question that you probably have in your mind. We're taking this plan. We're out actively marketing to end users. We have a team of 4 leasing people who are talking to retailers, restaurants, entertainment concepts to qualify interest. We're taking that feedback, and it's helping us to refine our plans, move buildings around, make sure we get the right sizes for various tenants. So we're refining the site plan based on market feedback. We're also refining the site plan based on engineering issues. We're running through financial modeling. This is a very complex project. It basically consists of about 13 different projects within a project. So we have a, kind of a horizontal project, and we spin individual developments out of that. So it's the relationship between all those components is taking a lot of time for us to put together a sound financial model, but that's a really important part of our process as we move forward. We've been working with the Sierra professionals to get into the phasing plan process. As I mentioned, we have a preliminary approval on the concept plan. The next step for us is to take that concept plan and overlay traffic engineering, infrastructure design, and the facilities and amenities that are part of the redevelopment agreement into that phasing over time. The pilot and ERG, both part of the prior iteration of this project. We do anticipate pursuing both the pilot and the ERG in this iteration. It's obviously based on a different plan, a different program, a different financial model. So as we complete that financial model, we'll be making application in for both of those programs, and our professionals will go through the economic analysis for that. So but from a process standpoint, we really have to get, we're having work sessions with the Sierra professionals every 2 weeks to keep making progress on that phasing plan, which is a process of several months. Those are my prepared images and comments for the night. I'm happy to answer any questions that Mr. Chairman or anyone on the board might have.
All right, I'd like to remind everybody this is an informal, so if you have any questions be my guest.
Well, I'd like to make a couple of statements,
Okay.
if I may, Mr. Chairman. Let me get to where I need to be. 'Cause I just lost my place. Okay, I gotta look it up. Hold on a second.
While he's doing that, can you go back to parcel B slide? I just have.
Sure.
Parcel B is where the movie theater is now, right?
I think,
To the-
that's
to
what I
the
want
right?
to say, I think it is, yeah,
That-
yeah, okay,
Up there. to
Yes,
the-
so,
gotcha,
yeah, the
fence.
Amboy Cinema site is here,
right.
and this is the property that's owned by SSA.
That item's trying to draw a picture. I usually like handouts, then you can look at them. Want me to ask a question? or
We
you
can
still
certainly
looking?
provide
Yeah, you
copies
can
of this
ask a question. Go
presentation.
ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure
Well,
if he was
Scott,
ready.
Well,
Wait,
well,
wait, wait.
All right,
Let
we
me-
found his spot. We'll have
Okay.
to let him go.
Let me just step back here before you guys.
Not gonna
So
tell us we
I
can't
want
ask
you to
questions, right?
I want you to understand what an informal review is. And I'm gonna read the provision to you. This is under 4055D-10.1. And at the request of the developer, the planning board shall grant an informal review of a concept plan for a development for which the developer intends to prepare and submit an application for development. There's some language in there that doesn't pertain to you, but the developer shall not be bound by any concept plan for which review is requested, and the planning board shall not be bound by any such review. That's the statute.
I'm impressed you're reading that without glasses.
Essentially, what I think you need to understand is there's no public notice required for an informal review. Your questions, your inquiry are really centered around planning goals. You should really offer no opinion with respect to approval or non-approval of certain things, since at some point in time this plan will presumably come before you. So it's inappropriate to approve certain things or not to approve certain things. That is reserved for the hearing that requires public notice and comment and evidence. This is not evidence, this is simply an informal review. So you shouldn't make indications either way. In addition, I've been handed a letter for the first time dated March 29, 2018 from, I'm sure I'm not going to say this correctly, Robert Krzyzkowski. The
Pretty
board,
close.
right.
Good for the first try.
These types of letters or communications to the board, the board should not be considering these, particularly with respect to a concept plan, where it's not a time for formal evidence, not a time for formal comment. We're just generally reviewing a concept and generally with respect to the planning goals as it relates to this site. This letter has all sorts of questions in detail. It's addressed to Sarah, not to the planning board. So in my legal opinion, this letter does not become a part of the record. It's not in evidence because there is no evidence this evening. So, in fact, there's really no public comment. The statute does not talk about public comment or public input because this is not a public hearing. It is a public hearing because it's open and you can attend it and listen to it. But if there's no public notice required, and there isn't public notice required for an informal concept plan, it's not the time for an open, contested, or uncontested hearing and asking questions and things of that nature, because a concept plan is just a concept plan. We have no idea, the board has no idea whether or not when this comes before the board, this is going to be the plan. So it's really, you're really guided by those principles. I don't want the board to think that you get into an extended question and conversation about the particulars of this thing, other than, you know, specific planning goals, make recommendations as to what they would like to, like to consider, things of that nature. You can ask questions, make suggestions for better planning alternatives, which of course are not binding. That's basically your guiding light. Thank you.
All right, everybody on the panel and everybody in the audience. Now we know the ground rules, so, Ms. O'Leary, you have any questions again, or now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think this really has anything to do with nay or yay. Just wondering what you would anticipate the timeline to be. I mean, full build-out is something you probably can't even anticipate at this time, but let's just pick something reasonable, like 24 months, 2 years. Where would you see this project being? What would be there or not? Well, 2 years is short. I'm wondering, is there going to be a building or two with brick and mortar? Will we finally see something, or are you anticipating a little further out?
We certainly would like to see some buildings out there within 24 months, but let me talk to you about what I do know. So we are all committed to applying every resource to get that first building out of the ground this year, 2018.
That's Bass Pro.
That's the Bass Pro building is where we showed on the plan.
You want to mention any names?
That's a 14-month construction schedule from start. The next physical construction, the power center, the 100-acre piece along the highway and on the southern part, of the project. That part of the project probably takes about 12 to 18 months in pre-development to meet leasing hurdles and financing requirements, and that
Is that a power development?
a power center, yeah, so traditional box retail, highway services, as far as restaurants, standalone restaurants, not the integrated urban core,
Right,
which is more to the west.
Right, this is more.
And in this plan, so that when I say power center, it's this area here. So you can see the bigger boxes,
I see,
surface
yeah.
parking, restaurants with drive-through, perhaps a convenience store with
see.
fuel services for the parkway, for the highway. When I say highway services, but that construction is probably 12 or 14 months and
And they would
12
be
to
the
18
staples
months.
that would go in first before anything further.
That would be, physically, that would be the next phase to start, and that, once again, when we think about pre-development periods, how long does it take us to get the things done before we can start, and then how long does it take us to complete once we do start?
Right.
The mixed-use core is a more complicated format, so this, where we have residential over retail, and we have office component, we have hotel component, it just takes us longer to design that. It takes us longer to pre-lease that. And so that's probably a 2-year pre-development period, something 20 months to 24 months, and that's probably about
20 to 24 months after the first round.
No, it won't be 20 to 24
Oh, you
months
mean
from today.
concurrent?
Yeah, we're working
Oh,
on both of
okay.
those phases actively today. So today what we are,
Sounds aggressive.
we're pretty aggressive. We like to try to be aggressive.
Wonderful, because we've been patient.
If you don't set your goals high, you are sure to achieve them. So we try to set our goals high.
Thank you.
So yeah, we are focused right now on this component and on this component of the project. We were talking to residential developers, we were talking to hotel developers, we were talking to office developers. So we're talking to the other people that would be involved in those components.
Thank you.
Your question about the longer-term full build-out, I'll just tell you, Avalon, we feel it was a sprint, 86 acres, 7 years. This is 322 acres, so it,
I did write that down too. So this is much larger than Avalon.
3 to
I
4.
mean, I think just the residential is about the size of Avalon, right? In acres?
I
Got it.
couldn't
It
answer.
doesn't matter.
I
It
couldn't
doesn't matter.
answer.
It could change anyway.
So
like you said.
Avalon was 627, I believe, residential units, and this is 2,000. So this is about 3 times the amount of residential, and about 3 times the amount of commercial. So does
Right.
that
Much
answer your
larger.
question?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have some. I don't know if I want to ask them after that
Well, you go ahead.
dissertation.
Well, you'll get smacked if you're off.
He'll kick you under the table.
Okay,
No, you'll get
does
smacked.
North American Property own all the property?
Sayreville Seaport Associates, the Urban Renewal Limited Partnership, owns the property. The ownership structure is actually in a ground lease with the redevelopment agency. That structure is in place to facilitate some of the remedial cleanup.
So, how much remediation still has to be done?
I can't really answer that question. We're not running the remediation. I know that there's a lot of activity on site this week with the environmental team, with the weather turning. They're starting to remobilize for activities on site. I'm unfortunately, I just can't answer that question.
This reminds me, you ever been to see Market Commons in Myrtle Beach? This seems to be a lot like that.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to
It's been
check that
very
out.
successful. I guess you can't say this, but retail commitments that you do have, I guess.
We
you
couldn't.
Um,
I will say that we are actively securing commitments and
When you talk
pursuing.
about retail, box stores, they're not doing very well. So that's going to be very fluid, I would think, on what you put there as far as, you're not looking at malls, are you, or?
No. The prior plan, that's, one of the things that, one of the counterpoints of what we do to some retail developers, we don't build malls. And in fact, no one's really building malls in the United States anymore. I believe there's one mall under construction in Connecticut and none planned as far as we're aware. The mall business is challenged. Parts of the retail business are challenged. The counterpoint to that is there are traditional online-only retailers that are building bricks and mortar stores. the retail that we feel will be successful in the next life cycle of retail are retailers who understand that experiential component. If someone wants to perform a transaction, I need a hat, size 8. I want the cheapest price. I go online. If I want to have a hat that's where someone helps me fit it, helps pick out the right material and make sure that hat is the right one for me, I go into a store where someone can help me with that. So the idea of customer service, I would hold up Bass Pro as an example of an experiential retailer, one that when you walk in that store, it's more than just about buying outdoor gear, boating accessories. It's about demonstrations, and they illustrate the lifestyle. So they're creating an experience for the people who walk in that store. So those are the types of retailers that will be successful in this next phase. There are also things that you can't get online. You can't get that community. We talk about communing with your neighbors, with your family and your friends. And that social interaction is an important part of us as human beings. It goes back for centuries, back to the market days in the Middle Ages where everybody came in and it wasn't just trading goods, but it was the idea of seeing people, because they didn't see a lot of people during the week because they were so spread out. So we have that need to interact. So, and you also can't, you can't go into a restaurant online, and you can't go into a movie theater on there. So there's things that
I agree. My last question is, and I don't know if you want to answer this one, but financially, you're going to pursue a pilot. Why do you feel you need to do that, and have you done that with your other developments?
So the pilot is a unique New Jersey. We've certainly have looked at public-private partnerships previously. I can tell you, I mentioned the economic modeling. We're going through that process now. This is a great location. It is a fantastic opportunity. It's also a piece of land that's severely economically challenged. The environmental condition and the geotechnical condition, the history of this site as an industrial site that is highly contaminated, and a site that's been, a substantial portion of the site has been created from dredge material, that creates significant development challenges, let's say. So the idea of bringing in fill, we have to have fill to make the land that's there now dense enough and compact enough to start to hold buildings. But we also have to bring in another 14 or 15 feet of fill across many portions of that land to bring it up to FEMA standards. These are significant cost activities. Anytime you're moving that much material, 2 million, 3 million cubic yards of material, it's a very expensive process. So that's part of the economic program that is critical to the success of the project.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else? John?
Sir.
Kevin, the 1,500 multiple families, I assume that the 500 single families are going to be for sale housing?
Yes, and that, let me clarify. Yes, that it would be. So that's the approved plan is 2,000 units. The way we have allocated those units in the current plan is 500 single family and 1,500 multifamily. The single family would be primarily townhome, but for a for sale product, and the 1,500 would be rental apartments.
Thank you.
That could change over time. Condominium, the condominium market could pop up.
So some of those residents that are above the commercial stuff could end up being condominiums where you actually buy a floor?
Well, I will say that
Condo?
in theory,
Instead of an apartment, you could actually buy it.
I would say in theory, yes, but just based on where we are in the cycle right now and where the demand is, pardon me, those residents, those apartments over retail are planned to be in that mixed-use core, which we're actively working on now. And so our plan, because the market today is for apartments and not for vertical condominiums, we're designing a product that meets today's market, which is a rental apartment over retail.
If you go up to Port Imperial from Weehawken up to North Bergen, they're doing the same thing similar to this along the Hudson, right across from Manhattan.
Sure.
And they're all condos. I mean, the condos are all bought, and it's amazing. After the 6th floor, it's $300,000 for the same apartment as the 5th floor more, and the 7th floor is $600,000, and the 8th floor is 900 until you get up to the $4 million for a 2-bedroom apartment. But, you know, that's 30 seconds across from New York City. We're 20 miles away. I would like to think that some of those units are not rental, that they are condominium, and, you know, I mean, that's up to you, but, you know.
Well, so,
Seems to me if it's good enough for North Jersey, that you're gonna have buyers down here. I know what they're doing down in Asbury Park too, which is another town that's coming back, is it's the same thing. They're getting away from the rentals and they're getting into people buying, you know, and it's, I'm totally amazed at what they're getting for a condo and a floor.
sure, sure. So,
But then again, they have the ocean right there too, so, you know.
so our goal and our mission is to reflect the market in this plan as it
Okay.
evolves over time.
And
So
that's a sliding ball, that,
It is. 2,000 units that will take several years to develop and absorb into the market. And so the product that is in demand at the time when we start the design, the pre-development design of a phase, is what the product will. A condominium product is different than a rental product, just as far as the nature of the construction, the nature of the finishes on the inside.
the amenities,
So,
the construction really isn't that, it's what you put on the inside of it.
and so as we're actively planning that mixed-use village phase, we are planning it as apartments, but certainly down the road, so that first rental component is 330 units, I believe, and the first set of single-family units is about 200. So this first horizon for us is about 500 of the units. So that leaves 1,500 units for the market to tell us over time what those want to be.
So initially, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and then you're gonna feel your way through it after that.
Absolutely.
I don't have a
Our job
problem
is our job is to listen to the market.
And when I talked to the people up in Port Imperial, that's more what it was. This has been going on for 20 years up there. They had the townhouses that they sold, this, that, and the other thing. And then when they started pushing the buildings up higher, they started selling the condos just outright, you know. And the only difference that I could see about from a rental unit to a condo is when you went in, it had the nicer grade kitchen, the nicer grade marble, the better bathrooms. The living space was the same. You know, the amenities inside were nicer. You know, so.
The other difference would be the format for construction. So 4 stories, wood frame construction is 4 stories. That's a much different cost model than a high-rise construction and concrete or steel. So those support different rental models. And if you notice in Central Jersey, from Metuchen to Red Bank, what you see being built is primarily a wood frame product in that 4-story format, and with rents in, you know, maybe that's $225 to $325 a square foot. When you get into that high-rise product, it's a much different rent model. Right now, the market does not support that in this area of Central Jersey. It could over time. You're absolutely correct. We would love to see that the market meet us on that as this project evolves.
Well, it seems to me that you have a concept that where you're starting out with a third of all the housing and you're gonna figure it out after that. So to me, you're not just jumping right in and saying, right off at the get-go, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna let that slide whichever way you can sell it, so.
Well, not only in the residential, if I may, to expand on that point, not only in the residential, but it's in the overall plan. If you see what we put together for, you know, beyond this kind of first horizon for us, this block grid is designed to be very flexible. That block, it could be a rental residential, it could be a for sale residential, it could be commercial. There, you know, we can develop that one block at a time. The prior plan on this site had a regional mall in this area. A 1.6 million square foot regional mall gets built like that. You have to plan for it, and it gets built all at one time. So it's kind of an all or nothing proposition. Whereas the flexibility of this plan, we feel, allows us to really be more aggressive in reacting to the market over time.
Okay.
I had a couple of questions,
ahead.
Tom. So I'm just curious, the types of tenants that you're approaching. What is the climate out there? How are they receptive? Are they reluctant?
Well, certainly everyone reads the reports of challenges in the retail
Yes,
market,
yes.
absolutely. But there are also, there are a lot of stores closing, there are a lot of bankruptcies being filed, but the counterpoint to that is there are retailers that have multi-hundred store rollout programs for this year, for 2018. We're hearing from some retailers they can't find appropriate space for their projects, for their product, for their new stores. I will tell you that overall, the market reception has been overwhelmingly positive. The good news and bad news about this project being out there so long is that most people in this area know about it. Most people in the retail community know about it. Most people in the real estate community know about it. It has created some skepticism, naturally.
Right.
So when is this going to happen? What is it going to be? But I'll tell you that the feedback we're hearing from our leasing people is that I know they're very busy and very active in meeting with retailers. They're going all over the country to meet with retailers. They're also bringing retailers on the site. In fact, one of the things we're working on right now is a new leasing and marketing trailer, so we can really have a presentation on site to really support the vision of the project. Right now we just have a construction trailer, and so that's a little bit of a challenge, but we're working on that. It's one of our next priorities is to get and that will actually also be my office, so I have a personal stake in making sure that that's a nice little facility. But no, we want to have our clients come into a marketing center. We call it our wow center, and we want it to reflect the vision of what the project ultimately will be.
The other question I had, and it's just a curiosity to me, this lovely plan with all these beautiful stores and buildings, and that theater, that eyesore of a theater that nobody can touch because it's so expensive and nobody will tear it down. What are your thoughts on how that will impact what you're building here?
Are you talking about the Amboy Cinema,
Yeah.
the abandoned building?
Yes.
We would like to work out an opportunity to acquire that and to combine it with our property on Parcel B for a unified whole within that area between 35 and 9.
That would be lovely, thank you.
Certainly.
And that's a future dream. That's it?
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
This project is your baby?
I am in New Jersey. My apartment is 4.7 miles. I moved in 2 weeks ago. My wife and I are shuttling back and forth from Atlanta right now. We're empty nesters, and so the opportunity that was presented to me in the fall to join North American, I've known this company for a lot of years. I have tremendous respect for the people and the product and the commitment to quality and the commitment to make a change with what we develop. And so when the opportunity came up to help be the boots on the ground to deliver this project over the next, let's just call it 10 years. It may be longer. I don't think it will be shorter. But for me personally, it's a great career opportunity, and my wife and I are very excited about becoming part of this community and understanding Sayreville and Middlesex County and Central Jersey and what it's all about.
Great, welcome to Sayreville.
Thank you.
That's it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We went over North American Properties, we got old business, we did Mr. Maganone. We have a letter from the clerk that we have to talk about. Do you wanna go over this?
Oh, that's the River Road redevelopment plan addendum that has been referred to the planning board by the Borough Council with respect to your power to review, advise, and make any recommendations you feel are appropriate, any consistency with the master plan or not. I want to correct the record a bit with respect to the resolution number 2018-114. And the second whereas clause refers to the affordable housing sites identified in the Sayreville Housing Element Fair Share Plan adopted by the Planning Board on August 2, 2017. It's my understanding there'll be an amended resolution from the borough correcting that date to coincide with that which the board considered at its special meeting
On the
which-
29th.
on the 29th of March, which considered amendments to the master plan inclusive of modifications and amendments to the housing element and fair share plan and spending plan that we did that evening. With that in mind, certainly that doesn't impair your ability to make recommendations, if any, to the River Road redevelopment plan amendment back to the Borough Council, which is part of Susan Gruhl's report. If you look at this, the River Road redevelopment plan amendment is done by Susan Gruhl, is actually a carbon copy of that which is contained and marked as Exhibit L in that 408-page report by Ms. Gruhl. Same thing.
So we passed this, really, when we accepted that report on the 29th.
You adopted and sent your recommended
Recommendation.
approval to the Borough Council on
So
that
all,
entire package, which includes that which has just been referred to you.
so what I'm asking is, we're just gonna affirm this and send this back with our blessing tonight, back to the mayor and council. If anybody,
You could do that.
all right, for all of those that were here, I think Ms. Gruhl did a great job on doing all of that. Between our planner and her, we have a, resolution here. What's your pleasure?
I say yes,
Make a motion?
make the motion, yes, to
I
accept.
have a second?
I'll second it.
I didn't know if I had a.
We have the second and a motion to adopt this pre-plan addendum with the recommendations from our attorney to change the dates, to make them correct. And we are going to say that we send this back with our recommendation to the mayor and council. Any questions on that? If not, I'll have a roll call.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Councilman Limbo?
Yes.
Mr. McEnon?
Yes.
Ms. O'Leary?
Yes.
Chairman Ty?
Yes. All right, that being that, on the other end, we have Councilman Grillo here. Are you ready to speak on the Morgan section of the redevelopment?
Yes, Chairman, I am.
Okay.
What are we speaking on?
Addendum for the resolution to the River Road.
No.
What do you do? You're just here to speak about.
A separate item, potential rezoning.
Morgan, Route
Morgan
35.
section of Route
It's
35.
on the agenda.
Yeah,
It's just not separated by a line.
right, okay. Oh, the redevelopment addendum for the Morgan section, okay.
Should be accepted.
Well, that's part of the plan you just recommended.
No, it's not more.
No.
No, this one's down here.
It was written that way.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, this right here.
Separate entity.
Route 35.
Oh, Route 35 section in Morgan.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
really have
Right,
no
this had
idea
gone
what that
to,
meant.
this had gone to Sarah. Sarah did not deem it an area in need of redevelopment. So
Can I,
certainly, the status quo of that area is not acceptable. Councilman Grillo's been at the forefront of trying to bring change here for quite some time. So we're bringing it to, like to bring it to the planning board.
first of all, it's the first time I'm seeing this. I really have no idea what it is. Is this considered to be a part of the open public session?
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay, so can somebody explain to me exactly what it is, since I've never seen it?
I think we're gonna find out.
We're gonna do that right now.
Well, we need to be careful about what we're doing, because,
I will have a request to the board to take action, but I don't find anything binding. I would like to just give a recap essentially of a study that was performed by the Rutgers School of Planning on behalf of a request that I made to them, really looking at a rezoning as well as a potential redevelopment zone in
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I just wanna make sure. Steve, you said that Sarah did not deem it as an area in need of redevelopment. But you're gonna convince us that it is, and you want us to say that it is against what Sarah recommended? Is that where we're going?
Yes.
well,
Among other things.
that's not a great idea. I'm totally opposed to that legally for the following reasons. That is the province of the governing body as an entity to do something like that. They want to change an ordinance, they want to change something the governing body is empowered to do, it must be referred to us by them.
We can't refer to Sarah?
No, we don't refer anything to Sarah.
Okay.
We're not a referral body. The only referrals going on around here are from the Borough Council to the Planning Board
And then we,
under the auspices of the municipal land use law. And that is amendments to the master plan, the zoning ordinance, redevelopment plans, redevelopment studies. So redevelopment, the request for redevelopment of a parcel has to come from the municipal governing body.
The other item I'd like to discuss is a rezoning of Route 35 in Morgan.
We do not, the planning board doesn't rezone
I
property.
understand that. My concern as a member of the governing body is that Sarah has been obstinate in considering something that is very, very important to this community. Additionally, I don't believe that the zoning board has the capacity at this point to undertake what I'm requesting, and I believe that the planning board would be the proper mechanism, simply because you are the most powerful land use body in this town.
Well, that's, with all due respect, that's not entirely accurate. The zoning board deals with different issues than the planning board deals with. The planning board is empowered to deal with permitted uses.
Let me step back a second,
Let me
because
just finish,
well, I
because
haven't
you
had a
said
chance
some-
to
you said
answer your
something
question
on the
about why we're
record.
actually here.
You said something on the record that I need to clear up. The planning board is not the most powerful land use body in the borough or any other town. The planning board has powers that are derived statutorily from the land use law. The zoning board deals with non-permitted uses, changes in use that are not otherwise set forth in the master plan or the zoning ordinance. It's a different thing that they do, in addition to other things that they do, interpreting zoning ordinances and things of that nature. We deal with permitted uses. If you want to put a commercial gas station in a residential zone, you can't come in front of us, we can't give you that. That's the zoning board's jurisdiction. So, I understand you're a councilman, I don't know you personally, but my question to you, sir, is what is it that you seek to accomplish by whatever it is you're gonna tell us?
What you have in front of you right now, which you haven't had an opportunity to see, although it was shared with the planning board probably about 6 months ago, is a...
I don't recall seeing it. I was here 6 months ago.
Fair enough. And that's why I want to present on it this evening. What you have in front of you is a portion of a study that was prepared by the Rutgers School of Planning, which is essentially a comprehensive plan for the Morgan section on Route 35.
What do you intend to have this body do with it? Assuming I think it's appropriate for them to read it.
So what I'd like you to consider this evening is the potential of actively arguing for a comprehensive plan, including rezoning along Route 35, as well as advocating to Sarah, which I suppose I will defer to the chairman if he feels like it would be an appropriate action, as to why this is not, has not been designated a redevelopment zone.
Then it's my legal opinion, sir, that is not something the planning board has the power to do. The planning board does not rezone anything.
we
And-
sent this to Sarah once, through the governing body.
That is correct.
And then they sent it back to you saying that they didn't want to do it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're asking us for relief.
I am.
We
And
can't,
my attorney's telling me, the planning board attorney is telling us that that's not. So my question to you is, as a councilman, why don't you get the people from the Melrose section to come to the council meeting and then ask them? I think you know where the board stands. We already approved this once. You know, I mean, Steve, I know what you're doing, I know what you want to do, and quite frankly, I think that whole Route 35 corridor needs to be redone. You know, we've talked about that for years, even when we did the, Cozy Joe's, right? Right? You know, I mean, that was the start of it, but, you know, there's really it hasn't finished because there was nothing else to do. You know, there was no incentive to do anything else. So, I don't think your bone is with us, I think your bone is with the council. Yeah. And you gotta get the council to ask Sarah why they didn't do this. I think if you come back to us and we read this again, I don't think our our minds are gonna be any different than we were the first time. So, you know, the animosity between different sections of people in this town on different areas of this town, you know, to me is crazy. We should all be working in the same spot. Why they didn't choose this, I can't answer you. They don't talk to us, they don't tell us anything. We find out last what's going on, you know? So you being a councilman, I would rally your troops and do it that way. I think you know where we sit. You know, I talked to Pat and said that we would do this, but when I did talk to Councilman Pat, and that, I didn't know legally what we can do. When I talked to Mark, our attorney, he said there's very little we can do. You know, I mean, we can look at this report and tell you, okay, well, fine, what do we wanna do? You know, I mean, I'm gonna ask the mayor why it wasn't done, as a person, not as a member of the public. And when I see the people on Sarah, I'll say the same thing. Are they
No
too-
need to apologize. Obviously,
no, no,
you're
but I
legally bound.
understand.
So I do understand. As you said, I think the frustration here is not necessarily for me. I think this should be for our community at large, that our Economic Redevelopment Agency does not have the foresight or the planning ability to recognize that probably the most compromised area in our community needs to have a redevelopment zone, and they have not done it. And unfortunately, this is not the right mechanism for relief. I understand that. I thank Mr. Rogoff for pointing that out. And so I'll try to find an alternative mechanism to do it.
I'm gonna tell you what it is. The Borough Council determines in its infinite wisdom to request from the planning board to investigate, which we have done in the past, whether or not a certain area should be designated as an area in need of redevelopment.
But you did.
We did that already.
Okay, if we did that, then, I don't remember doing that with this. I don't
That
even.
was
Before you.
Oh, it had to be before me.
It was about a year
because
ago.
I have a pretty good memory, and I don't remember anything like looking at this. And the reason I also know that is because I flipped the page, and it says the word Rutgers on it. So if it was us, then it had to be either our in-house planner or an outside planner that was utilized to conduct an investigation or a study, and then refer it to us to do our
It's two
job.
separate things. The request that was made to the planning board was based on the study that was performed by Rutgers. That was where the
What was the
general
ultimate
information
result?
came. Well, the ultimate result was that the
We
planning
sent it
board
back-
recommended
we
to Sarah.
sent it back to Sarah saying.
Not Sarah.
We sent it back to the council telling them that Sarah should look into this. Sarah, in their wisdom, said, we're not interested.
Okay, that, you know, so this is like playing basketball on a football field. That's not something that we're legally capable of curing. So once we do the investigation study, we send it back to council,
Chairman?
then,
Can I ask a question? I'm confused here. There's two councilmen in the room, right? Pat? What is the Borough Council's current position on this, Steve? Okay, I rest my case.
It usually is a
Frankly-
4-2 vote.
hold on just 1 second, time out. I don't recommend that you even entertain this conversation.
Oh, wait a minute. He's before us. He's a councilman. And we had this, we sent it to the council sent it to Sarah said no. So what did the council do? Is
The
council
council
sending it back
is
to us?
not going to act. I think that we all understand the political reality of this, and my frustration is that with Sarah not recognizing that this is such a slam dunk, for just to use a colloquialism, really. This is such an easy thing. This should, and with the Riverton folks in the room, I think it's a great example of comprehensive and smart planning. What this project is going to do for Sayreville is going to be great unless you create an island along the water. You need to think about how we spin this off to help folks in Melrose, in Morgan. And so by creating a redevelopment zone, we can do that. My situation is that we have a great idea, but Sarah won't act on it, and I don't know what the relief
And
is.
there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I don't think you can. I don't know. Like the zoning board can. I don't think the council's willing to. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
the
at this
only
point I
reason
rest
the
my
council
case.
will-
Thanks for coming.
Nice to see all of you again.
The only reason the council isn't ready to do this is because there's nobody pressuring them to do that. You have to bring your constituents that you think that are gonna support this plan and ask the question, why not? Doesn't cost anything to do this. This is stupid. To me, all right, careful. To me, we sent this back for a reason. We sent this back because we thought it was good planning. You know, we always get accused of not looking in the future and doing things when we're pretty transparent and we're pretty thoughtful of what we did. We looked at this, I thought you did a great job. I think it got political, and I'll leave it at that. But I think if you want to move this, you have to get political and you have to make the council realize that in November, this could hurt them. So,
And with that, Chairman, I thank you, and I thank you all for your time. You're absolutely right. We need to mobilize the people. That's the center core of our democracy. So I apologize for taking your time this evening. It was good seeing all of you again. And I wish all of you a very good evening. Thank you.
all right, we're going to return all of these to you, and you can bring them to the public portion. Let me know when you're going to do that. I'll try to make
I wrote
sure.
on mine.
What?
I wrote on mine.
It makes the whole area so
Sorry.
I don't have one, I love mine. Yeah,
I was all ready.
I don't care about it.
I was gonna make Steve email it to me.
Now, I guess the gentleman,
That's a dynamic.
that's it? Closed section, Robert left?
You got the public portion.
I guess he- I
Already
guess he-
mentally drained here.
Got all worked up.
Listen,
We all
you've
worked-
had it, you've
got
had
all
it so
worked up.
easy in Woodbridge, so easy, you know?
Easy?
Down, boy, down.
All right,
We're a bit busier
all
than.
right. Public portion, I need a motion to open up the public portion.
So moved.
Motion to open.
All in favor of that?
Yep.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anybody from the
Yeah,
public
me,
wish to
me.
speak? Anybody from the public wish to speak? One more time, anybody from the public like to speak? If not, I'll make a motion to close.
Motion.
Second, any questions on that motion? If not, I'll take a motion to, adjourn. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. See you on the 18th, right?
Yes.
Yes. And we got real work to do then.
Kinda, I mean, we've seen some variation of this for years. It's always interesting, but it's like, yeah, it's